Assalamu Alaikum everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you're having a great day. This is one of the videos I genuinely get excited to share with you guys, and the reason is simple because it's all about the portfolio. I haven't done October update, so apologies, it's been busy few days. So I'm gonna do everything you need to know about this portfolio, where we are with regards to all the new buys, and I've done quite a bit, the dividends that we received for this month, the rental income. I'm going to give you an overview of how much we made in dividends since we started investing and how much we've received from the rental income. I'm going to give you the total income. I'm going to give you what we expect basically for the next couple of months, where we are with regards to the ISA allowance. There's so much I need to go through with you guys today, and including some of the companies that have done absolutely amazing job, the ones that are still basically undervalued, and that I'm buying more of in the next few months. So there's a lot to get into, inshallah, in this video. And I started this whole portfolio thing, and I started this investing thing just for one simple reason, and that is future cash flow. My goal is, inshallah, to receive passive income from the basically investments that I've made, basically the investment that I've made so far and the ones that I'm going to make in the next few years. The goal isn't just to see portfolio value go up on the screen. It is to one day, inshallah, live off my dividends and rental income, creating freedom and flexibility for my family while staying true to halal, of course, principles and so on. And that's been my main goal. And if you have noticed one thing over the last whatever years, I've actually not worried too much about what's happening in the market. I've always tried to maximize my ISA account, and use that. And that's been my goal for the last 5 years plus. And I'm going to continue doing that, inshallah. So now just to kind of start with the portfolio, where we are with the entire portfolio side of things. So if we look at right now, this is where we are. We've got a bit of cash here, so I've added a little bit of money, and then we've got some dividends. So right now, as you can see, we've got £14,156, about 12% gains. This is unrealized gains, so that means if I sell it today, that's how much money I will make, of course. So the unrealized gains is basically, that's where we are. Overall, I think a year to date, this is how much money let me just go up. That we up or down. This is including that basically 300. This one doesn't, if you're thinking what's the difference between these two. And according to trading 212, as you can see here, for the 1 month we are basically down a little bit, £251. For the last 3 months, up about 7%. A year to date, up about 5%, or 4,700, and so on. But since we started investing, about 70%, up 33,400 and something, whatever. So again, I don't really care, and I think you've seen a couple of times where the entire portfolio was in the red, even though it was in the green, £15,000. I think in the April it wiped all that off, and we were in the red at some point. And again, I wasn't worried, I wasn't concerned, and I've actually added more money. I'll tell you exactly how much I've actually added since. In fact, I'll tell you right now, since January of this year, I've added £12,923 since basically the beginning of this year. And of course, if we look at where we were, let's go back to this January the 1st. So 1st of January this year, we had £116,860, and right now this is where we are. So again, like I said, genuinely, I don't really mind whether it goes up or down. I'm trying to buy high quality businesses, hold them for a very long time. Some of them are doing really well, some of them are not doing great. Some of them are just in the portfolio for the passive income and so on. So now let's move on to all the buys and sells for this month. Right, so there was no sales whatsoever. It was all buys for this month, and I've invested just over £2,000. And because there was no sales, this is just the basically money I've contributed. We'll talk about the ISA account. I will need to contribute a little bit more than this. I think it's about 3,000 if I need to maximize ISA account by the end of, by the time we get to April. we'll talk about that later. But as you can see here, these are the companies that I've added to, and every single one of these companies, I believe, in at some point in this month, in October, they were basically undervalued at some point. Some of them are still, still in the red. So companies like Hershey, for example, sort of a bounce back, but then now they're back in the red. Salesforce, I think, is there in the red now. Again, we will have a quick portfolio update. We'll check the entire portfolio in a bit. MSCI is one of the companies that have gone up since I think I added to that one half a share. So I wanted to buy a little bit more, but of course it's gone up a lot, and it's now slightly higher than my percentage allowance. But what I wanted is, my plan was to have at least 4 or 5% of this company in portfolio, and I'll share that with you guys in a second. Novo is the one that I'm still buying, is still undervalued. Canadian Natural Resources is actually another one that's still undervalued. I think I own about 200 shares of this company. Is slowly becoming, one of the biggest holdings in the portfolio because I keep buying it every single week. Project Chemicals, I think since they've reported, they've done well. I now own, I think, basically 26 or plus shares, whatever. UPS, I'm still buying. I'm gonna keep buying, inshallah. I genuinely believe in the long term this company will bounce back, just like Record Bank is at some point was £2,000 down. For me right now is in the green. That is easily, it can happen. I just waited for about a year and a half just to see that, but while I waited, I collected dividends that way, about 3-4%. For this one, it's about 7%. Mid-America Apartment Communities is exactly the same situation as this one here. They're both in the green a lot, as well as Novo. So I'm not really too concerned. This one I think is bouncing back a little bit, but is still in the red. So every single one of these companies are still undervalued. That added about £58 in total passive income, inshallah, in the long run. This is how much they pay per share, and this is basically how much I'm invested in each company, buying these 2.7 shares, whatever. So that's 2,000, just over 2,000 in basically in expenses that basically I've invested basically in this month. And now we're going to look at the dividends that I've received for the month of October. So you can see here ADP, Nvidia, Canadian Natural Resource, Merck, Salesforce, and MMA, as well as EOG. All of them paid me this month. Each of one of them paid this much, £195.96 is basically what I've got. If you add the rental income, which is £506 that I received from that one bedroom apartment I own, if you add the two together, this month we made £701. So let's call it £702, which is absolutely amazing. Okay, I will share with you guys now how much actually we have made in dividends over basically since the beginning of the year. So as you can see here, if you're new to the portfolio, and if you're new to here, by the way, this is how I track my portfolio in terms of dividend side of things. So I started in May of 2020, this portfolio. Since then, I've been tracking every single month how much I was receiving. I'm going to share with you guys as well now the rental income. If you haven't pressed that like button already, please do so. It genuinely makes a huge difference to the channel. If you can join us the Patreon account also, that will be massive help at the same time. Now, in terms of the dividends, so this is what I've been tracking over the last whatever years, and as you can see here, every single year has been growing. So from £163 to £558 to £1,100 to £1,600, £1,800, almost £1,900. Right now, we still have 2 months left, and £2,259 is where we are. So we are basically every single year I'm expecting this money to grow. The expectation for basically for the portfolio right now per year should be paying me about £3,000 or 2.3% when it comes to that dividend to basically yield, if you like. So this is how much I'm being paid this every single month. The biggest one was September, as you've seen that before, £466, and that's basically what we received. And now in October I'm expecting, so this is basically in dollars, but of course and also you have to take into consideration the fact that I'm going to pay taxes as well. So as you can see, in November I'm expecting about $151 if you like, but of course these are the companies that will be paying me. In December, on the other hand, I'm expecting about $332. Again, even if it becomes £280 or whatever it is, then of course I'm not saying that's the conversion side of it, but of course after taxes and so on. But these are the companies that will be paying me. None of them are UK based companies, so this is accurate information. I just need to take away that 15% whatever, and of course the exchange rate, blah blah, all of that rubbish. Again, from January onwards, January used to be decent, but now it's getting better, February and so on. So every single month, so like next year in April or basically September is the 2 months where I got paid a lot. And again, because I'm investing every single week, of course this money will basically include. So for example, if I'm buying more of the UPS, I don't think they've got to that they've got the ex-dividends yet. So if I buy more of that, basically I will be getting more, but inshallah. So that's sort of what I'm expecting in the next few months. Now let's go back and have a look at the rental income side of things. So I bought this property basically March of 2022, and since then the first basically year and a half, so here this basically here this part basically I was getting 480, I think it was 84 pounds, 86 pounds, I can't remember what it was. Okay, I actually wrote it down there, 484 pounds. That's what I was receiving. So the first year I've received 5,343 pounds. Of course, I had to, for the first year, I think the boiler went off, and then I spent about, I think 1,500, I think in total that year. The next year in 2023, I didn't have much of things I needed to pay. Towards the end of that year, basically I fixed something small, but it was very, very small. So made 7,500 from the rental income. Then the year after, okay, 2024, the 2024 we increased the rent, and since then basically it's been 506 pounds after I paid the management company that looks after the house and so on. So since then it's been basically almost closer to 8,000 pounds. This year we've already received 7,319 pounds so far. We still got some dividends to come, as well as the 506 pounds, inshallah. So we'll see what happens by the end of the year. I'm hoping, by the time we get to the end of the year, I can do the calculation, but I'm not bothered right now. But if we even get, basically we beat this, that's amazing, and we will beat that, because we're expecting over £1,000 from just the rent income, plus the dividends. We've seen already 300 pounds in August and in December, and about 100 something in November. So we'll see where we are by the end of the year, inshallah. So this is how much I've been paid in passive income since this whole thing started. So the rental income plus everything else, this is money that has come to my account for the last 5+ years. So the rental income has been about, just let's call it 4 years, okay, and then about sort of 6 years for the portfolio. So my inshallah long-term plan is to increase every single year, and potentially inshallah one day this to be a yearly income rather than 4 or 5 years. So if I can make 28,000 or even closer to that per year from my investments, inshallah I will be in an amazing place, inshallah. Let's see what happens. I mean, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's going to happen tomorrow to all of us, but I'm just so hopeful that I will be able to reach that goal, inshallah, and I'm just going to work towards that. And to be honest with you, like I was saying to a friend of mine recently, everything I do for my kids and family. I've got 2 small children, so inshallah their life will be different to what I had. And this is one of the reasons I'm not really worried about whether the stock market is going up or down, because I know in the long run, that what I'm doing right now, inshallah, is working, and it has been working. And genuinely, I promise you, brothers and sisters out there, the reason I'm actually basically sharing all of this is just to hopefully inspire someone out there, just to show you guys what is doable. Like it's not great. Like I'm not saying I'm a millionaire or anything like that. Inshallah one day maybe. But it's just to help people out there. And there's a lot of us who have jobs, and you've got family and everything else, and at the end of each month you've got nothing to your name. And if you can just step back and think about, okay, what do I need to do to achieve the goals that I want to achieve? What is my goals first of all? Is it to have that passive income, to have that freedom to spend your time with your family and friends and so on, people that matter to you? Then if that's the case, then do something about it. Wake up today. have you taking those baby steps? The first step is just to make sure that you've got your emergency fund. Second thing is get rid of any debt that you have. Dave Ramsey, whatever his name is, he's got a book called The Baby Steps, and that's the first step, is just to get emergency fund. Then is the next part is to get rid of any debt that you have. Then is start investing and saving and investing and all of that stuff. I can't remember all 7 of them or whatever they were called, or 5 or 7 steps. But take those steps and do what you need to do, inshallah. Ignore the noise. Forget about this madness about cryptos and stocks going to the moon, and speculative stocks and meme stocks, and all of these things are just a noise. You just need to have a plan and execute it. And inshallah, may Allah make it easy for you, and hopefully you will get there. We will get there, inshallah. And just now to go over some of the companies, just to kind of show you where the portfolio is at. So you can pause the video, have a look at it. I'm just going to spend a minute or so just looking at this. So you got companies, top performing companies. This is basically sorted in gain or loss, if you like. So the bottom ones are this one's company UPS, for example. It's been there right at the bottom. But you've got Broadcom, ASML, that doing really well. If I do by value, you will actually be surprised, because I actually did that this morning. I was like, oh wow, companies like Hershey, for example, is actually quite up. It's top when it comes to that value side of things. Okay, so we expect basically almost a 5% of the entire portfolio, which is absolutely crazy. I really didn't think of that. And then I saw Rio Tinto, because Rio Tinto is in the green. It's actually basically one of the almost the £7,000. So, and I don't mind that, because again, I've always said this: if you're new to the portfolio, there's 2 things happening here. There are companies here that are for the reason these companies are in this portfolio is, for example, Rio Tinto is for the dividends. Okay, they pay nice 7%, whatever it is, 5% or whatever it is, dividends. Okay, the UK based company, I don't have to pay any taxes and whatever, so I really like that. And I like that dividends, that basically high yield, so on. There are companies like MSCI. They here for the dividend growth reason. Same goes for S&P and Global Big. And price wise, they will go up. These companies do decently. They've done well over the last whatever years. This one again is for the dividends, but it's doing well as well. This one is for the dividends, is not doing great. AstraZeneca growth as well as the dividends. That's the reason why it's in here. There was a time, if you remember, that we were buying this company on a weekly basis, and right now, Alhamdulilah, it's actually up about 18%. Visa again, dividend growth. Mastercard is the same thing. Procter & Gamble the same thing. That dividend growth. Dividend side of things, the yield is about 2 point something percent. So it's not there for the dividends, it's just there for the dividend growth. So that 5%, 6%. Same goes for UPS, and same goes for Union Pacific. These companies are here for that dividend growth, hopefully dividend side of things. And then you've got companies like, if we look at ASML and so on, I'm not buying this for the dividends. I'm buying that for the growth side of it. Same goes for Broadcom. When I first bought this one, it was actually just for the dividend side of things. So they were doing really well, and it was undervalued. And since then, it's gone up. So let's go back to gains. So you can pause the video, have a look at it. Nvidia is one of the companies that done really, really well. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. 72% up. Okay, same goes for Eli Lilly. Those 2 I bought it in April when the market was basically tanking, and since then they've done really well. 43%, 72%. Again, both companies are very volatile companies. The dividends are almost non-existent. They're here for the price appreciation, which I really like. I wish I bought more Nvidia. Eli Lilly, I think at one point I'm going to sell it and use that money somewhere else, but we will see, inshallah. But Nvidia, I think I'm going to keep it. I think I might even sell this one and buy more of this if the market dips or something like that, just to add all of that basically. Then hopefully I will have double what I have now. I've got 15 shares of Nvidia. I think my price is about $102 per share right now. Is almost a doubling, which is absolutely ridiculous. Merck is doing well. It's 9% up for this month. I think all the pharmaceutical companies have done well apart from Novo. This one has tanked quite recently, so I bought a little bit more. I now own 21 shares, 21.4 shares as exactly. Salesforce is another one that I'm buying regularly. I will continue to buy, inshallah. I want to add a little bit more on that one. Canadian Natural Resources, I still need to add maybe a few more shares. I think I've got 200 shares right now. There we go. Hershey, I'm not adding to, or EOG Resources, I've got 45 shares. I think I might leave it for a bit. Let's see if the market bounces and so on. But the companies I want to add more of is Novo. Novo is been absolutely left for dead. Look at this price from $141 per share to right now $45 per share. But again, it's one of those, it's going through a tough time, but right now I'm down about 1,600 or about 31%. Again, I'm not really worried about the company. The product is selling really well. They made good deals with the US, and so good, I don't know whether it's a good deal or not, but it's with the US. I don't want to go into the details of that. But yeah, this is the entire portfolio. The companies that I'm hoping to add more to is automatic data processing, and this one here, there's Equinix. Those two I really would love to add to, but this one is, I'm still up by about 270%, to $233 per share. It's $253 right now. It needs to lose about $20 or so to add more. So yeah, inshallah, I'll keep you updated. Anyway, everything I do, I normally share on the Patreon account. So all the buys and sells that I shared with you guys at the beginning, as soon as I do it, I share it with the community on there, with as well as the family portfolios and other things. And the final thing I want to say is the ISA account, which we haven't talked about for a while. So right now I've only invested 4,300 since April of this year. So before April, I invested quite a bit because I needed to max my ISA account. Since then, I've just bought about 4,300. So I've got about £16,000 or £15,700 to add between now and April. Is it doable? Absolutely. And one of the major reasons is because I did have a payment that I needed to make for every 3 months for the property that I'm buying, which I will share with you guys insha'Allah in the next few months, because we get the keys in July, August next year, basically next summer. So summertime I should be getting the keys, but now that I paid off completely, I should have a little bit more money lying around, because every single month I had to save, because I was paying about 10,000 US dollars every 3 months. So that's been quite tough. So from now on, inshallah, that money should be going to this account, as well as the rental income. So the family portfolio, I've not added anything to it. So the rental income, as well as everything else, should be going into the ISA account. We're going to max this ISA account, inshallah, that's the goal. That will be about 15. So right now about 16,000 US dollars. So that we probably would need to add about £3,000 every single month between now and then. But we'll see what happens, inshallah. Anyway, let me know in the comments section if you own any of these companies, or if you own any ETFs, if you own whatever you own, where you are now. What is your financial situation? What are you doing? Is there any plans moving forward? Like, are you planning to buy a property? Why are you investing? What is your main goal? I've shared everything with you guys. I just want you to share your journey with the community, inshallah, so you can, of course, help other brothers and sisters. May Allah, put barakah in your wealth and grant us all halal, inshallah, sustainable income moving forward, inshallah, and Jannatul Firdaus. Have a wonderful day. Assalamu Alaikum.